name is Dr. Alisa Zavialova, and I'm the founder and executive director at Calgary Essential Language Solutions, simply known as CELS. Over the past few years, we've expanded into a truly one-stop shop for all your ESL language needs. We're now offering business English, academic English, exam prep, such as CELTIC General, IELTS General. I know a lot of you are rebuilding your lives and careers, so CELS is honored to be part of your journey of resettlement and integration here in Canada. And thank you very much for choosing us. We look forward to continuing working with you in the new year and support you on your language learning journey here in Canada.
Hi, Alisa. Welcome to Impromptu Stories. So happy to have you today.
Hi, Dana. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Dear friends, today we have Dr. Alisa Zavialova, founder of Calgary Essential Language Solutions, the language training agency for newcomers in Canada. We decided to have this podcast in English because Dr. Alisa Zavialova, she has students from all over the world, not only Russian-speaking and Ukrainian-speaking students, but also Spanish-speaking and other languages as well. I'm so happy we are doing this podcast today with you.
Amazing. Let's do it.
Let's do it, yeah. So let's start from the very beginning. What brought you to Canada, Alisa, and what was your first year like as a newcomer when you decided to immigrate to Canada?
So actually, before I decided to immigrate to Canada, my first experience was back in 2012 when I came here on an internship program for 3 months. So I took part in the internship program called Canada-Ukraine Parliamentary Internship Exchange, where a group of Ukrainians, university students came to Ottawa, the capital city of Canada, right, to Parliament Hill, to do a 3 months internship. After that, I came back to my home country, Ukraine, to finish my university over there. And then several months later, I actually came to Canada to pursue my graduate studies. So I came as a master's student and as an international student. And then, of course, later on, I finished my studies and became a permanent resident and then eventually became a citizen.
What drew you to that field of yours to study the language and become have this background?
Well, that was my background from back home. I studied, English as a foreign language teaching. So I was an ESL, English as a second language, or English as a foreign language teacher back home. And then I decided to pursue the same career in Canada because of the need, right? So Canada is a country of immigrants. There are a lot of agencies, schools, universities, colleges, community-based programs, that hire ESL instructors, right, to help newcomers adapt and improve their language skills. And since I already had prior experience in teaching and also, of course, the academic foundations, so that felt like, a good career choice. And so that's pretty much what brought me. And I've been in my field and working in my field throughout my entire career.
Like for over 12 years?
So for over a decade. I started teaching when I was 19 years old. So so I would say around 15 years I have combined. Yeah.
Very nice. A lot of newcomers arrive with very strong qualifications, but still feel unseen and invisible, as most of us. Did you experience that sense of invisibility yourself when you just moved to Canada?
I wouldn't say so. In my case, I mean, of course, I've experienced a lot of other challenges as a newcomer, as an immigrant, but because I came with a very strong language level, right, and I went right into grad school. So, I was surrounded by Canadian students, by students born outside of Canada. I had great professors who were my mentors. So I wouldn't say I wasn't heard. Actually, the whole point of doing masters and then of course I pursued my doctoral studies. The whole point is to be heard and to present your research to, and I started teaching newcomers pretty much from day one in Canada. I've experienced other issues, like for example, financial limitations, right? And, paying tuition, international tuition fees and, trying to work at the same time. But I wouldn't say unheard. Not in my case.
Not in your case, because you had such a strong academics and experienced background, so you were able to apply yourself right away. So, what sparked your passion for supporting immigrants and language learners?
I think I always use this example or this phrase that I use, share the privilege. And so, what I mean by share the privilege is my immigrant story, like my journey, was a bit different. It was easier in some regard due to the fact that I came right into academic studies, right, and I already had the tools, the communication tools and the language to express myself, to finish university here, which is not the case for a lot of newcomers, right, who come and they end up, for example, taking language classes, right, and so I felt like, since I had that privilege, I wanted to share and give back to the community, right? And that, that has always made me happy. When I share my knowledge, when I share my expertise, when I can I pass along the strategies that work for me, right? And that's where I feel I'm needed, right? I'm feeling that gap.
I see.
And my education and background was like, the studies, the university program that I was enrolled in gave me that opportunity to be placed right into the practicum program. And later I started teaching in those programs, and actually eventually, evolved into becoming a teacher trainer myself and curriculum designer. So so that gives me a lot of satisfaction.
That's nice. Yeah. And you as a woman who, in a new country, and you've been influential, you're influencing other immigrants and other people. So how do you think that you starting over in a new country helps you in your work and support with your students?
And as a woman as well. That thanks for that question. That's a good question. First of all, I want to say that I am extremely grateful to be in Canada and to be a woman living in Canada. And what I mean is that not every country in the world gives equal opportunities for men and women. Unfortunately, we live in the 21st century, right? But there are still a lot of countries where women don't have access to even primary education, let alone, high school, university, graduate school. So I actually never felt discriminated as a woman, in my career. Of course, a side note is, I come from an academic environment where there are actually a lot of females. I never worked in, STEM or business, corporate, like purely corporate environment where, like engineering, for example, right, where or IT sector where most, I guess, employees are male. However, like I said, I had a very positive experience where I never felt like because I'm a woman, I cannot, or I'm not able to build a successful career. Now, of course, as a founder of my own language training agency, I'm an entrepreneur. I have to also, wear, wear pants, right? Sometimes when I go to networking events.
And several hats too.
Several hats. But because we're in Canada and because, we, Canadian society promotes equal, gender roles, it's not perfect, but, there is overall, society shows respect towards women and people who identify as women, right, other genders. So that is why, like, going back to what I said before, I'm extremely proud to be Canadian, to call myself a Ukrainian Canadian and to live in this country because, it has given me, it has made me who I am today.
That's lovely. Yeah. So let's talk about your training agency, Calgary Essential Language Solutions, the language training agency for newcomers.
Or simply known as CELS.
CELS, in Canada. Yeah. So when did the idea of creating CELS first took the root in your life, and what inspired you to bring it to life?
Yeah, good question. So actually, back in 2023, I was the manager of a LINK program at YMCA Calgary. So LINK, most of you probably know, if you're an ESL student, newcomer stands for Language Instruction for Newcomers to Canada program, LINK, which is funded by the federal government. So these are free classes, language and culture classes for newcomers. And so back in 2022, when I was managing this LINK program at the local YMCA here in Calgary, my job was to, manage the budget, hire instructors, and of course, talk to the federal government representatives from IRCC. And so that's when we started receiving signals that the government is looking to shrink the funding, right? So to cut funding for these training schools, right? For these language classes across Canada, specifically targeting, cutting the funding for higher levels or intermediate and advanced levels. So in Canada, we have 12 levels of English proficiency called CLB, Canadian Language Benchmarks. So so CLB levels 1 to 4 would be like the beginner level, and then 5 to 8 intermediate, and then 9 to 12 advanced. So I remember at that time, the highest level at the YMCA that was offered was level 5, which is just low intermediate. And the government was constantly checking whether we have enough enrollment, enough students, and kind of sending the signals that eventually they will terminate funding. And that's when I started thinking, well, how can we set up our newcomers for success, especially when we're talking about, people with ambitions, professionals, doctors, engineers, financial analysts, like people who are actually hoping to continue their career in Canada, but they do need, of course, some language training, right? Because no matter how much you studied English outside of Canada, when you come to Canada, the environment is very different. People don't speak the same way as they speak in the language textbooks, right? So people need, of course, advanced language classes, as well as social cultural components, so understanding the local culture. And so at that time I thought, well, I have so many years of curriculum design, and I taught, my research was on newcomers to Canada. I designed a lot of courses, and I actually started doing that as a side hustle, as they say, right, as a side project, where I was teaching, on weekends. And of course, at that time, a lot of people from my home country, Ukraine, started arriving in Canada. And so people were just reaching out to me on social media and community. And eventually, now we are actually we find ourselves in a situation where government has officially announced that they're not going to fund higher levels.
When they're stopping.
So by 2026, we will no longer have language classes for newcomers higher than level 4.
So for the professionals with more or less medium or advanced level of language is not available.
I mean, right now we still have agencies in Calgary and across Canada that offer levels, for example, 5, 6. I don't think we have 7, 8. Maybe like there are some online classes offered, but even those are like the wait. Like if you're looking to enroll into a language training through the government program, the wait list is so long. Like you might end up waiting for another 6, 7 months, and then eventually they will be phased out by 2026. And so I just felt like that, I had no other option. Like if I wanted to continue making the difference, helping students, helping newcomers, and, using my education and all the experience, right? And so that's pretty much what sparked that motivation.
That's lovely because you launched something that's helpful for the community, helpful for the country overall as well. So starting something like that from scratch isn't easy. We all know, and being as an entrepreneur woman by yourself doing all this, what was maybe the hardest part of launching that program?
The hardest part for me was to actually charge people for my classes, right? Because I was never trained to, do this for money, right? Like, I mean, of course, as a university instructor or college instructor, I was paid, but the students I taught, in most cases, depending on the program, of course, because I've taught in multiple programs, not just for newcomers, I've taught, linguistics courses. But anyways, specifically, if we talk about newcomer population, these courses have traditionally in Canada for the past 40 years have been free of charge.
Yeah, they were funded by government.
They're funded by government. Yeah. So then now, even if I want to have these programs for free, there is no way because government is not approving any more funding for higher levels, which is exactly what I'm focused on. And so, so that was the hardest part, to go on social media, to kind of take off my, educator hat and just, becoming like this kind of like a businesswoman, like a salesperson. But at the same time, I think people see that, my main mission is to help, right? And of course, I know my target audience, I know my students. So we offer affordable, in my opinion, very affordable courses that are at the same time very high quality, right? So at the end of the day, if you think of time as a resource, right, you might spend like years in the free program, but the usefulness of that might not be as great as you expected. Whereas what we offer is, of course, the quality is much better. Yes, it's not free, but I mean, you could feel the difference. So
it's more like a private, I guess, agency, which is good because you can guarantee the results. and the period, the short.
And at this, so first of all, we guarantee the results, and students can feel the results, but also we have no restrictions in terms of immigration category. So I could accept people on work visas, on study permits, citizens, permanent residents, refugees, refugee claimants, whereas the federally funded program has specific restrictions.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and whereas in our case, we could accept anyone.
So you've named your signature program, The Missing Link.
That's right.
So what gap were you trying to fill in the language learning space then?
So specifically the missing, the reason why it's called The Missing Link, link with a K, like link in a chain, you can think. But it's a wordplay. And we're offering, so we have 2 levels, the intermediate level that is targeting CLB level 5-6, and then also the advanced level that targets level 7-8. So let's say if you have, for example, a low 7, but your goal is to upgrade your level to level 8, right? To kind of break through that plateau, right? Because a lot of people kind of they're stuck in the middle. And that is exactly what, the levels we offer. And so essentially we're filling, the niche that is no longer occupied by the government. So we, in that particular program, of course, this is one of our core programs. We offer, the main emphasis there is prepare for life and work in Canada. And so what we mean by life and work is, first of all, understanding what Canada is. We even have a module called Understanding Canada. And then, of course, working in Canada, succeeding in Canada. So we combine, interview prep strategies with, for example, the grammar that you need to pass the interview properly, or the vocabulary that you need, or the cultural understanding of how to navigate an interview in Canada, right? So it's a combination. It's a settlement service, right? It's language and culture, language and survival strategies in Canada, and of course, setting people up for success. Yeah, and that is why it's called The Missing Link.
So would you say that the cultural element of the adaptation of newcomers is also important as learning the language itself, right?
Oh, it's extremely important. I would say it's even more important than having perfect grammar. And it's not just me saying, it's actually researchers and scientists in applied linguistics and social cultural studies that say that your grammar might be super perfect, but if you don't know how to say things when and to whom in a contextually appropriate, natural way, you might end up having a lot of issues in communicating, in the building relationships, right? And so in every course we teach, we emphasize the cultural aspect. Absolutely,
especially if you're have an ambition to build a career here, right?
For sure,
and grow in your career and be fully integrated into this culture, into this life, right? Because you call this home, so you want to be living like.
For sure, you want to fully participate. You want to take advantage of what Canada has to offer, and the only way to do it is to get out of your comfort zone, to get out of your your community, and go out there and start communicating, right?
So
start connecting.
I think you already said, but I want to again, just maybe shortly, just if you would explain again. So what makes the this Missing Link program? I know you have many other programs as well, but that one specifically, what is standard from traditional ESL programs? Don't they have still ESL programs in libraries and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like they have the drop-in ESL. The main, there are a few differences. First of all, we have smaller class sizes. Secondly, we have very qualified instructors. If you go to ESL, like drop-in ESL program at the library, in most cases, you're going to have a volunteer, right? Who might or might not have teaching experience, right? Also, they don't really filter by level, right? And they don't filter also by background. So we know people who study in our school, all of them are, they have professional background. They're like either business owners or, like they used to be public servants back in their home country, engineers, right? So, and all of them, what they have in common is, ambitions, right? Like they have ambitious goals. They want to pursue maybe, their like studies in Canada. Like they want to get like an additional diploma here, or, they're already working for Canadian organizations, but, for Canadian firms, law firms, like we have lawyers, right? But who are looking, for example, to get promoted. So this way they're all like, I can make sure that everyone in my group, right, in my class is on the same page, right? So whereas for example, in most cases in the free programs, you have people, mixed levels classes, and also very, very, very different objectives.
Yes.
And so it is very hard to find that common denominator. And yeah, so like in this way, our program is more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we also don't emphasize, like the traditional programs, for example, the Link program. They have, what they call portfolio-based assessment, where every week an instructor is obliged to do a test or some sort of like a mini exam, and students are always stressed. Whereas in our course, of course, we have projects, we have some assessments, we have some assign assignments to assign assignments, or it sounds very redundant. For example, we asked students to prepare like a presentation ahead of time, right? But there is no such thing as pass or fail. There is only, this is a safe space for people to practice, to receive feedback. We also recognize that these are busy working professionals. They have family commitments. Not always they have time to do homework, but we also actually offer a lot of other perks, like self-paced courses through the online platform. But again, those are, we're going to go deeper into details. But so I would say, if I were to summarize what makes us different, is quality, affordability, and flexibility.
Yeah. So you mentioned about your group, but also you just a little bit mentioned that your instructors, first was yourself an instructor, plus you have other instructors who all have degrees in teaching, and they are, if they're not Canadians, they're completely immersed and integrated in the culture, right?
Yeah, correct. So we have we have both Canadian-born instructors and immigrant instructors, but yes, like you said, they all have advanced level of education, so advanced degrees, and those instructors who are immigrants, they have been here for many years, so they're fully integrated. I don't discriminate by native speaker versus non-native speaker. I know there is a whole separate discussion on whether only native speakers should be teachers or not. That's like an academic discussion. But actually, we also know, again, people who are true experts in our area know that it's not that the native what defines good language instruction is not the fact, the ability to speak this language as first or additional language, is your qualification and the knowledge of teaching techniques and teaching strategies. So all of my teaching team, my instructors are all amazing, and I guarantee quality personally.
Good.
And of course, I myself still teach quite a few courses. So I also I call myself like the lead instructor, right? So founder and the lead instructor.
So you mentioned before that you help even to the professionals to go through like interview processes and preparing their resumes or doing that. Also how to communicate in the workplace. Would you please tell a little bit more, like, Canada is a multicultural country, right? We have cultures, like main ones, like from East India, from China, and other countries, Ukraine, of course. So how do you weave that is called intercultural, I guess, things in your programs?
Well, depending on the program, again, like we actually have a whole like a separate workshop series we call the Canadian Fit, and that's actually that course specifically was specifically designed to help newcomer professionals navigate Canadian workplace culture and expectations, right? And of course, there are a lot of discussion. What is Canadian workplace culture? Do we have like one culture? We have different cultures. But I guess, we, especially when you have participants from different countries in one class, it's just, sometimes it's just simple reflection. Like, for example, we just had, like this past week, I had one of my groups here. And we were comparing, for example, how direct people can be when they're placing a request, like when they're talking to like a customer service agent, right? And when they're asking for a favor, like, oh, could you please look into this for me, right? And so we were analyzing all these expressions, and then people started comparing to their first language, first culture. And we had a person from like West Africa, we had a person from Latin America, and then we had the Ukrainians, and then we also had people who lived abroad in multiple countries, so they also had developed like multiple identities. And so just like live discussions like that, just when people are reflecting, and then we compare against like the English speaking norm in Canada. It could be as simple as that, or as intensive. It depends on also the nature of the course.
And also they share, I guess, their own experiences with each other, which actually enhances and adds to the program itself already. Because when we are saying, okay, that's how we used to do, for example, in UK, or here how we do it in Canada, for example, right? I don't know. I'm just giving some random example. So what kind of transformations have you witnessed in your students? Like any maybe story that can really like stay with you? Is there anything?
Transformations. Yeah, it's actually the good part of our, of our programs is that most of our programs last for actually 4 months, and then there is an option, there is an opportunity to either continue to the next level. For example, if you studied in the intermediate, you could go to advanced, or if you tried, for example, the conversation program, then you're looking for something more kind of for skills oriented. So most of my students actually, I'm proud to say that a lot of my students continue beyond 4 months. So the transformation is ongoing and evolving. But you could also like go to our Instagram page and watch some video feedback, like where people are saying, we learned, not only we learned the grammar or the vocabulary, we also actually we felt like we were immersed into the culture. Another thing is, I think just, learning, understanding culture takes time. You cannot just say, well, in 2 weeks, I'm going to do this, or even, improving your language level. Especially if you don't study for 5 hours every day, takes time. It's not, it doesn't happen overnight. So I think to really observe a transformation story, you need to look at, kind of a case study approach. But what I see in students is that they, for example, they give examples like we started noticing things at work. Like when, we learned that expression, or you pointed, you highlighted that specific nuance in class. And actually exactly the same thing happened to me at work, right? So I actually need to start collecting the stories. Right now,
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. So yeah, or people, another, I think the most valuable part is, integrating into the into multicultural diverse environment where people very often, and not just from Ukraine but any other nationality, when they come from their country into this multicultural mosaic Canada, right? We can experience culture shock because they've never been exposed to so many nationalities, like on a sea train,
in one place, in
one place. So I think becoming more comfortable with this diversity, right, and starting, making friends and approaching people, colleagues from different countries, and just becoming more comfortable and actually, start enjoying that. That to me is the biggest achievement. That I could see.
It's such a growth, I think, for all of us as a community as well, because we are part of the community, and when we know how to interact with each other on different levels, I think it just really pushes that growth, right? So have your students ever surprised you? Was maybe is there something that they taught you unexpectedly? What did you learn from your students lately?
Oh my God, Wesley, I've learned so many things. Actually, ever since I moved to Canada, I think I've learned more about the world and, geographically, culturally, linguistically, that I could have dreamt of, in Ukraine. It's hard to pin down. Maybe a recent example is, again, going back to Ukrainian community, and I'm going to give examples because I have a lot of Ukrainian students right now for obvious reasons, right? I'm from that country originally, and so there is a big community now in Calgary. For example, even social media strategies, or something, something that would help you with business, like search engine optimization. Like I have a student of mine who just volunteered to help me with that, and these are professional services that people, people would charge for. And so she liked my classes. She felt like they were helpful, and she wants to kind of repay me, and she's offered her help. And I've learned a lot from also Latino community as well. Have a good friend who's a graphic designer and an art director. So he helped me a lot with at the beginning when I first launched the school, with creating posters for social media, right? Newcomers in general are very talented, bunch of people, right? And this is the energy that Canada that needs, right? And that's what is pushing Canada forward. Except that in some cases their voice is not heard that prominently because of the language barriers and adaptation. That is where my services, right, our programs come helpful. But I think we learned, and as Canadians we also learn from this fresh blood that's coming in, right? New restaurants are being opened, maybe some recent trends in beauty industry.
But don't you have special relationship and connection with Spanish-speaking community?
Yeah, like I said, I do. Yeah, so I also I speak intermediate Spanish. I'm not very proud of my Spanish level, but I'm also proud that I can speak it, I can functionally. And so yes, I worked with for a Mexican university back in Ontario when I lived in Ottawa, for an offshore campus, and that's actually when I had a chance to take some Spanish classes and practice. I feel like, here, especially in Western Canada, I hear more Spanish than I hear French. And so that also helps me, when I communicate with my students, because I have quite a few, Latino students.
That's great.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm just extremely lucky to be where I am right now. Yeah.
But if we just summarize the whole experience that you've been already having so far for so long, over a decade, you say, with working with immigrants specifically, but now you started your own language training agency for newcomers in Canada recently. So what do you see that there's the biggest barrier for the immigrant professionals, for newcomer professionals who are trying to integrate into Canadian society?
Yeah, the biggest barrier, in my opinion, is when it comes to professions, so regulated, as they call them, regulated professions. So that would be, for example, medical doctors, that would be engineers, architects, nurses, right? So Canada is, has very rigid rules in terms of who can practice, in that profession in Canada. Also across provinces, the system is not consistent. So even, moving from one province to another, people experience barriers. And now imagine moving from one country to another. So those exams, for example, if you talk about physicians, medical doctors, nurses, those exams that you have to retake here to be able to kind of recognize your credentials and, go back to your profession, are extremely high stakes. So they're very complicated. They're very expensive. There's also limited number of attempts. And so they're difficult, actually, not just not linguistically speaking necessarily, but culturally speaking, right? Because, for example, these exams, and I forgot the acronym. There are multiple acronyms depending on what kind of doctor, what kind of nurse. But essentially, what it involves is they involve like live simulation activities where you have like patients who are like actors who are acting like patients, right? And then the actual doctor is observing you. And so it comes to very nuanced details of communication, body language. So it's extremely difficult for people to, and unfortunately, because of all these complications, a lot of people give up and they decide to either retrain for a totally different profession, or, after multiple failed attempts, they give up, which also is, it's not good for Canada, because Canada needs medical workers, for example, right? We know like 200,000 people will be retiring in the next couple of years. So I would say, again, just to summarize, like those regulated professions are extremely difficult unless you studied here, like unless you actually are willing to go back to school here, which is also in most cases it's almost unaffordable for people.
Do you think your agency can help with that or no?
So we're actually hoping to launch a special program for healthcare professionals, to kind of bring them up to the required language level, because most exams require at least level 8. Again, going back to the CLB levels, right? From out of 12 levels, you need to have at least like level 8 would be the required level minimum, right? To be able to participate in training programs, because there are some initiatives still funded, or programs funded by the federal government specifically for healthcare workers. But the problem is that to get into those training programs, you need to be already at a very advanced level, right? So let's say if on average the students I work with have level 5, 6, what's missing for them, right? The missing link, right, is getting them to level 7, 8. So yes, we have some ideas and some work in progress that my team and I are working on right now. Specifically, we want to launch the healthcare stream, but in future it might be also other professions that Canada needs. For example, early childhood education is another one that comes to mind. Of course, like engineering, construction. But I mean, one step at a time. It's again, when it comes to industry-specific language training, it's not that easy to design this kind of programs. But yeah, this is what we're hoping to achieve. This is one of our like strategic priorities right now.
Do you think you could collaborate with some institutions or something like that?
Yeah, and we actually already have official and unofficial partnerships, referral systems. There are organizations here in Calgary and across Canada that help, for example, with mentorship. They can help with like internships. But of course, the main, in most cases, those agencies don't have their own in-house language training, because the language training programs have traditionally been occupied by the link program. Like
by
that was the niche.
government, yeah.
And now those programs are, fading away, they're gone. And so that's where I'm hoping that CELS could fill that gap. Yeah, for sure.
So you have some very ambitious plans for the future.
Yeah.
I guess all the best.
We do. Thank
all
you.
the best in that, because we all need that for our community. Because this is mostly we're trying to inform and educate and give support to our community, right? So what advice would you give to someone who's feeling stuck or discouraged about their English? Maybe someone who doesn't feel like it's not good enough yet, and kind of so they're feeling really discouraged about the level of or the way of speaking. You know how we talked about last time?
Yeah.
You said how people are really a little perfectionists and they want to have a perfect English, but you can but it's probably you will always have that accent, and it should be fine with that, as long as you are speaking it on a culturally accepted level, I guess.
Yeah, and as long as your accent is intelligible, which means it's easy to comprehend, it's easy to understand. So actually going back to the accent and being stuck, a lot of students actually are kind of too self-conscious about their accent. And I always tell them, I just yesterday I was at this coffee shop and I was talking to the barista. And I said, and I could hear she has an accent, but she spoke brilliant English, like no problem. I have an accent. You have it. Like everyone has an accent. And so, but I was just curious because I couldn't figure out. Usually, I'm very good at guessing the accent, but in this case, because English was so good, and like I could hear a slight accent. And I asked her, I said, what is your first language? And she said, it's Turkish. And then what she said after that is, I hope one day it won't be that obvious. And I told her, you know what? Why? You should be proud of your heritage. That's what makes you unique. That's what that's your first culture. And I said, if your accent was very difficult to understand, then of course, sure, you need to work on your nobody says you don't need to improve your pronunciation, but in her case it wasn't the case. And I told her, you know what, my first language is not English either, but I'm a successful ESL instructor. This is my job. I teach English to newcomers, and she said, where are you from? I said, Ukraine. She said, I knew that. And so I hear that from many students, like from across different nationalities. So like I was saying earlier, first of all, don't be discouraged by your accent. Just accept the fact that unless you came to Canada before you turned 12 years of age, there is no way you can completely get rid of your accent. Of course, your pronunciation, your fluency will improve, if you make an effort, if you can take professional development courses, language classes, if you practice English, of course, at work and in the community. But I mean, there's no way you can get rid of your accent. And you shouldn't be focusing on that. You should be focusing on your soft skills, on your emotional intelligence, of understanding Canadian culture, workplace culture, of building relationship with people outside of your community, right? Native speakers, non-native speakers. And if you feel stuck and discouraged, just go out there. Just language learning, as many other things. When you want to achieve something, you cannot achieve something if you continue being in your comfort zone. So you need to take risks. Yes, you're gonna feel, maybe you might feel incompetent. You might feel that you're not able to express everything, at the same level as compared to your first when you speak in your first language. But I mean, it will take time, it will take effort, but you shouldn't wait until you're perfect.
Exactly.
Because otherwise you're always going to be stuck. So you need to get out there and just take a risk.
I would also say, like, we need to integrate into the culture. And I always believe that language is not something divisive. It's actually something that should be uniting us as a community. So as Alisa says, you have to get out and speak, or talk, meet more people,
make friends,
and do fun things as well. But I know you do volunteering hours at the library now, and that's your also an investment of your time, if your knowledge into the community. How is it going for you? I've seen on your social media, you have quite a bit of a group there.
So that is actually our recent partnership with the Calgary Public Library, which is going great. So what I do there is we designed a 5-week program that we are offering as kind of an alternative to the traditional drop-in ESL program that the library has been hosting for many years. And specifically, they actually, when we had a meeting with their community advocates, the biggest pain point was that people who are already at the intermediate and kind of advanced, closer to advanced level, they're looking for something more robust, like for something more challenging. And so that is what the drop-in program couldn't provide. And so when I, submitted my proposal, I think we called it Advanced Communication Workshops for ESL speakers. So it was accepted. And so I now, run that program. I offer it for free, of course, for the community.
You did it at the Central Library?
At the Central Library, yeah. So, and we immediately after we posted the program on the website, like within 3 days, the class was full, and we're talking about like 25 people. And we have a lot of people on the wait list.
Do you have criteria how you pick the people?
The library set their criteria. Like you have to have a library card, and you have to make sure.
No, I mean like for the level, because we talked earlier
for the level,
because how they all mix levels. Like, did you have any specific? Because they're called advanced, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that when we the program description very clearly says, please make sure that like your level is good enough to participate. Like this program is for requires high intermediate, right, or like a very solid intermediate level.
Okay,
I was pleasantly surprised when I came to my first workshop. So the people who signed up, they were all pretty advanced speakers already, but they were looking to kind of finesse their skills, right?
What are you hoping to give them in this 5 weeks of program? It's like once a week kind of program, right?
Once a week, for 2 hours. So what I'm hoping to give, of course, is advanced communication skills. So, they're pretty much getting like a free trial of one of our programs.
Yes.
I'm also hoping to raise awareness about our training agency, because a lot of people are asking, do you offer like IELTS preparation courses, CELPIP, or do you offer academic programs? And we offer a variety of programs. So that's just another way for me to kind of raise awareness about the programs, but also to just have them, experience, like feel the difference, right? Like compare it, this is what it could be for advanced learners, compared to traditional ESL drop-in. And so far we've been receiving, like we've had 2 sessions so far, and people like 90% of those people who were, or even almost everyone who attended the first session, showed up for the second week, and it's a Friday afternoon. And so the library staff is telling me that the attendance is amazing for a librry program.
So it's a good feedback. It's having good feedback.
And I'm just having fun. I enjoy meeting people, and it's also what I like about that group is that it's super diverse. Like I have people there from like literally all over the world, and they also even like observing them how they communicate, like they already became friends, and they're exchanging their information, and it's just
lovely. So you already also uniting that as a community. So that's good. So how often you plan to have that kind of program running in the library?
So hopefully, upon library approval, we're hoping, so we will continue for another 3 weeks, and then we'll take a break for the rest of the summer, but we're hoping to restart in the fall. And I already have some ideas of some additional programs we could offer for the library as well.
So I guess while you're working with the community, it's giving you some more ideas about how you can grow.
I'm full of ideas. The opportunities are limitless.
Because you can also see like what the need is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with such a diverse group as you have. It's lovely.
So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. Yeah.
Would you say like people who are considering your maybe agency but not sure, they could maybe sign up and try this sometime, and then
So, and also they could sign up. The library program, they can they need to sign up through the library website, but in my particular on our premises, right, like at CELS, we always offer to take the first class for free.
When you are not teaching or developing programs for your agency for newcomers in Canada, how do you recharge? Like, what helps you stay grounded? What do you do for yourself?
Well, I do sports. Like I like yoga, I like Pilates. So I try to take walks as much as I can. I also have 2 lovely dogs at home, so I just spend my time with dogs and my partner. What else? I like shopping, I like traveling, reading. But I also think, because I love my job and I really enjoy what I do, that sometimes I feel like I recharge even when I just had a successful class, when I feel like students enjoyed their class, and I always come home recharged. Actually, like I get energy back from people. But I would say, sports and just trying to stay healthy. taking care of yourself, like maybe go, like, I don't know, like book a spa appointment, like from time to time.
That's
Yeah,
lovely.
that works.
Yeah. Do you go to the mountains a lot? Because we have beautiful mountains here.
Yeah, like not as much as I would love to, but yes, especially during the summertime. Like I'm more of a city person. Like I don't, I can't say I enjoy hiking that much. Like I just like to stay downtown and just like drink my favorite coffee. Yeah.
Nice, lovely. Yeah, I see. Enjoy little coffee shops here. Yes, I see. So so that's lovely. I think you already shared your messages for immigrant professionals already. So I just want to say how we can find you. Can I leave some of your contact information?
For sure. Yeah. So we could add the link to my website, to our social media page. We have an Instagram account. We also have Facebook, LinkedIn pages. So feel free to share and like and follow us. And of course, the best way to get in touch with me personally, if you go to the website, there is a button called Book a Free Consultation or a free call. So you can always book a call if you're interested in any of the programs. You could join the wait list for the ones that are coming up. In July, we have a new program coming up, or a new group that we're enrolling now, and also in September. All that information is on the website, but feel free to email or message me or just book a call.
Nice. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dana.
Alisa, it was lovely. I think it was very informative. It was very inspiring. And hopefully people out there, although some of the government programs, as you say, closed, but hopefully they find this has been one of the resources they can they can find, right?
For sure. For sure. We'll be happy to work with each and everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
And, thank you very much for your time and for supporting us.
Bye.
Bye.